What's up, guys? This is Cory. Welcome to CNA Films and Animation. Well, before I get started with today's old versus new analytical review, I'm going to give a few shout-outs. First person we want to give a shout-out to is Nate Murphy. He has been a strong supporter of our channel, and we wish to thank him. Nate puts out a lot of movie reviews and other stuff. Does a great job with them, and I highly recommend that you check out his channel. Next person I want to give a shout out to is, and I want to say I apologize if I get the name wrong, but Caldwell3. This guy has been a strong supporter of our channel as well. He's given us some suggestions for this month, including Altered and Dog Soldiers. I think there might be one more that we're going to review that he requested down the road. But yeah, I mean, he's been a strong supporter. Wish to say thank you, and also want to give another shout out to Nick Moen. This guy, he's been supporting our channel for months now. It's been great to see him grow. He just hit 100 subscribers, and we're proud of him. So congratulations, Nick, and thank you to Nate Murphy and Joe Caldwell as well. So let's get on to our analytical review of Fright Night. So Fright Night was released in 1985 and was written and directed by Tom Holland, and it starred Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale, Amanda Bierce, and Roddy McDowall. And basically Fright Night follows a guy named Charlie Brewster. He suspects that his neighbor is a vampire, so he goes to great lengths to try and prove that he's a vampire. He consults to this guy who makes like this horror show called Peter Vincent, which the character was based off of the two horror actors, Peter Cushing and Vincent Price. Peter Vincent was named after those actors. But anyway, Charlie goes to Peter Vincent, who is a, quote, vampire killer. He has a TV show and everything, Fright Night. And so he and Charlie and Peter Vincent, go to the neighbor's house to see if he's a vampire or not, which turns out that he is a vampire. And so they go to great lengths to try and destroy the vampire. And that's the similar plot to the 2011 film. 2011 film was directed by Craig Gillespie, and it stars Colin Farrell, Anton Yelchin, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, David Tennant, and Toni Collette. And it basically has the same plot as the 1984 film. The only major difference, I would say, is that Peter Vincent in this film does not want to get involved in any way, shape, or form. However, much later into the film he does get involved. And it's due to things that he reveals later on in the film. But with that, let's go ahead and jump right into our old versus new analytical review of Fright Night. And by kicking it off, we're going to look at the story, see which film tells the better story. Both the 1985 film and the 2011 film are technically horror movies that both do a decent job at telling the overall story. You've got the 1985 film, which is a lot of fun. It's fast-paced, the characters are interesting, the film has a nice pace to it, and it's very well edited, while the 2011 film, it is quick-paced. However, it does drag a little bit in a couple of places. Could have edited a little bit here and there, and for the most part, the changes that happen throughout the film, in some ways are good changes, in some other ways they're not. For example, the character change for Peter Vincent in the 2011 film is very drastic. It's very different from the 1985 film. However, they did add a little more humor to his character, and I think that's mainly because David Tennant, has a certain way about him that, brings a comedic element to this character. Whether that was needed or not, that's up in the air, but, David Tennant really brings out the character in this film for Peter Vincent. However, I do feel that Roddy McDowall did a better job, but that's for a different category a little bit later in the film. But overall, I'm going to say that the 1985 film tells the story better. So, point to 1985. Now we move on to the characters and the acting. Which film has the better acting and the better characters? The 1985 film is much campier than it is in the 2011 film. The characters are fun, and at times they can be very funny. And they also have great chemistry together, especially Charlie Brewster's character and his girlfriend Amy. They have really good chemistry, and so does Evil Ed. Charlie and Evil Ed's chemistry is pretty good. And then you have Chris Sarandon, who is the main vampire, Jerry. Chris Sarandon really brings kind of a likeness to his character. There's something about him, there's something about him, but you can't help but like his character, even though he is a complete dick and, an evil vampire. But yeah, I really like Chris Sarandon's performance. I like it a little bit better than the Colin Farrell performance. Colin Farrell brings a little more edge to the character, and that's fine and everything. I don't mind that. It's just, I like the slight campiness with Chris Sarandon's performance. However, I will say that there was a nice cameo of Chris Sarandon in the 2011 film. It's unfortunate to see what happens to him, but it was still really cool to see him. The character of Evil Ed in the 1985 film is a little annoying. In fact, he's just kind of there. He's Charlie's friend, but he doesn't have much of a role. And Christopher Mintz-Plasse plays Evil Ed in the 2011 film. And, he obviously is good friends with Charlie, or at least was good friends with him. They have a falling out, and, there's kind of a emotional edge to the character, if that makes any sense. You feel for him. You respect, you understand where he's coming from, is what I'm trying to say. But I will say that Evil Ed's death in the 1985 film was kind of really sad, and honestly, and I will say it is also one of the coolest deaths I've ever seen, but basically it's kind of a very emotional scene in the 1985 film, but they do it really well. Charlie in the 1985 film is very likable. However, he's kind of a bland character, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. But he's a little bland, I will admit. The character in the 2011 film is a little more rounded. He feels more like a teenager. He's trying to do good, but things happen, and it turns out to be a jerk in some places. So on some levels, I understand and respect the character changes in the 2011 film. I still really like the characters in the 1985 film. I'm going to give the point to 1985 Fright Night because I feel that it has just the slightest edge over the 2011 film, and I really think that the acting from both Chris Sarandon and Roddy McDowall are, some of the best performances in the film. So point goes to 1985. Now we move on to the makeup. Which film has the better makeup? Well, the winner, hands down, is 1985. The practical effects and the makeup on the 1985 film is some of the best effects I've ever seen. And the makeup is top-notch as well. Very raw, gritty, very dark, and it's a little campy as well. It's really cool, very well done, and I absolutely adore the makeup in the 1985 film. Makeup in the 2011 film is almost non-existent because it was all CGI, and it was almost all CGI, and it just, they didn't really put any makeup into it. I mean, there was natural makeup and stuff, but I didn't really see anything that was really in the makeup department. So point definitely goes to 1985. Visual effects definitely goes to 1985 again. As I said, this film is one of the best visual effects and makeup films I have ever seen. Some of the coolest creatures, some of the coolest transformation scenes, specifically the transformation scene of when Ed is dying, by Peter Vincent. His transformation scene is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I absolutely love that moment, and it is so tragic, but it's so awesome. The makeup on Amy when she's a vampire is amazing. The makeup on Jerry is really well done, and absolutely love it. The special effects in the 2011 film, like I said, it's CGI. And it's not even really that great of a CGI. It's not bad CGI, it's just, for something like the 1985 film, where the effects really made the film, I was disappointed with the 2011 film. And that's because, it was just kind of mediocre CGI. So, point definitely goes to 1985. Now we move on to the villain. Which film has the better villain? This kind of goes back into the acting, and really, it's between Chris Sarandon and Colin Farrell. As I mentioned before, they feel that Chris Sarandon does a much better job. However, Colin Farrell does a good job too. It's just two very different performances, and I happen to favor Chris Sarandon's performance over Colin Farrell's. So, point to the 1985 film. Now we move on to which film would I say is scarier. Honestly, guys, I would say that the 1985 film is much scarier, and I'm not saying that either film's really scary. I'm just trying to say that, like, the stuff that happens in the 1985 film, because it's practical effects, you can tell it's practical effects. To me, that is much freakier, because that's, real life, kind of. It's not some CGI computer-generated image that, looks scary, but I know it isn't there on camera. Whereas, the puppets, the makeup, just all that stuff is a little scarier to me. So, point goes to 1985. And with a landslide victory, 1985 film wins. The old versus new thing. But I will say that the 2011 film, while I am not a huge fan of the movie, I will say that it is, one, watchable. I did watch it. I was entertained by it, but I never was entertained enough to say that I liked it. The character changes and stuff that happened throughout the film, I do like some of the changes. I don't like all of them, and I do feel that some of the actors do better performances than some others. But I happen to love the 1985 film. It is one of my all-time favorite vampire movies, and it's just a fun, entertaining, and really cool film from, the mid-'80s. And 2011 film, honestly, is forgettable. I mean, it's just kind of a dime a dozen, really, when it comes right down to it. So, absolutely check out the 1985 film, which is today's winner, because I love it. It's truly one of the best horror movies I've seen. Highly recommend it, so I hope you go check it out this Halloween. And, go ahead and skip the 2011 film, but if you're interested, do check it out. Yeah, so tell me guys, have you seen Fright Night, either the 1985 film or the 2011 film? If you have, what'd you think of them? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? Share your thoughts on the films, comment below, let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you guys like this video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe. Be sure to check out our other videos. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. If you have any movie suggestions or TV suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as always, I am Cory, and I will see you guys in the next one.